Léon at the Olympic School, Volume 6, The Selection. Chapter 1. The golden rays of the setting sun bathed the vast fields of Palmaroux in a soft, warm light. The students, gathered in small scattered groups, savored these last moments of tranquility before the chaos of the new school year. Laughter and excited whispers filled the air as the young athletes exchanged their summer memories. Léon, Élodie, Paul, and Léa were seated on a well-maintained lawn near the main stadium. Léon, with his legs stretched out and his hands crossed behind his head, watched the pink and purple clouds slowly dissipate in the sky. His thoughts were focused on a single goal: the selection for the Paris Olympic Games. He knew this year would be crucial, not only for his sports career, but also for his personal growth. "I couldn't stop thinking about the selections all summer," Léon admitted, breaking the peaceful silence. Every morning, every training session, everything revolved around that. Élodie nodded, her gaze fixed on a distant point. "Same here. I trained relentlessly. There's no room for error this year." Paul, always imposing, sat cross-legged, absorbed in Élodie's words. His voice resonated with unusual gravity. "The selections are going to be ruthless. We'll have to surpass ourselves if we want a chance." Léa, sitting near Léon, added with a note of enthusiasm in her voice, "But imagine, representing France at the Olympic Games. It would be a dream come true. We have a unique opportunity. We must seize it." The group fell into a meditative silence, each lost in their thoughts. Dreams of glory and fears of failure swirled in their minds, forming a complex mix of emotions. Rumors were circulating that only 5 students from Palmaroux would be selected to represent France, and the competition would be fierce. The face of Damien Malesherbes, with his arrogant expression, and his 2 cronies, Justin and Simeon, came to mind. Damien, always ready to undermine his rival's efforts, embodied the elitist values promoted by Francis Pardon. As if to confirm their fears, the 3 companions passed nearby, their disdainful and mocking gaze resting on Léon and his friends. "Good luck with the selections, Renard," Damien said with a sarcastic smile. "You'll need it." Léon sat up, feeling the tension rise, but before he could respond, a familiar and soothing voice sounded behind them. "Don't let provocations distract you from your goals." Albert Dubois, the director of Palmaroux, stood there, his face marked by fatigue and worry. He greeted the students warmly, but a shadow of sadness loomed in his eyes. "Professor Dubois," Léon began, "do you really think the minister will decide on the selections this year?" Albert sighed deeply. "Unfortunately, yes, Léon. Francis Pardon has gained more power than ever. He is determined to reshape this school according to his ideals, and that includes the selection of athletes for the Olympic Games. But remember, it's not just about performance. There are more important values at stake." Élodie frowned. "What values, Professor?" Albert smiled gently. "Integrity, perseverance, solidarity. These are the qualities that make you not only great athletes, but also great people. Never lose sight of that, no matter the obstacles." Léon nodded gravely, feeling a new resolve forming within him. He glanced at Léa, who responded with an encouraging smile. Their goal was clear, but the path would be fraught with challenges. As Albert continued his walk, leaving the students to their reflections, Paul remained silent, his eyes fixed on Élodie. She spoke with an assurance and ambition that captivated him. The grand hall of Palmaroux was bathed in light, the morning rays of the sun reflecting off the immense windows. The students, dressed in their immaculate uniforms, whispered among themselves, the anticipation hanging in the air like latent electricity. This return marked the beginning of the most decisive year of their lives. Conversations were hushed, every word weighed, every exchanged glance laden with dreams and apprehensions. Léon, Élodie, Paul, and Léa stood together, their group united by years of camaraderie and competition. Léon, though resolute, felt a knot of anxiety in his stomach. He knew that the battle this year would not only be fought on the sports fields, but also in the political backstage of the school. The whispers abruptly ceased when Francis Pardon, the Minister of Sports, ascended the stage instead of Albert Dubois, the beloved director. A heavy silence settled, every student holding their breath, awaiting the words that would define their future. "Dear students," Pardon began, his voice resonating with icy authority, "this year is a special year. A handful of you represent the best athletes of your generation. and the selection for the Paris Olympic Games will be the culmination of your efforts." Léon exchanged a worried look with Élodie, sensing the inflexibility in the minister's words. Pardon continued, listing the criteria of excellence and discipline, deliberately ignoring the values of inclusivity and solidarity dear to Dubois. "The Olympic Games are not just a competition," Pardon continued, his piercing eyes scanning the crowd. "They are a reflection of our national excellence. Only the most deserving among you will represent our country, and they will be chosen by highly qualified experts." A wave of murmurs swept through the hall. Léon felt a comforting hand on his shoulder and turned to see Paul, his serious gaze imbued with silent support. Paul was a quiet strength, but even he seemed disturbed by the minister's words. Albert Dubois, standing at the back of the stage, seemed reduced to powerlessness. His face was closed, and he watched Pardon with painful resignation. It was a difficult sight for the students who admired him so much. But as Pardon was about to conclude, a deep and authoritative voice rose from the assembly of teachers. "Excuse me, Minister," intervened Stéphane Roux, his tone tinged with biting irony. "I am delighted to see that you are entrusting the professors with the task of selecting the most deserving students for the selections." Silence fell instantly, heavy with surprise and curiosity. Pardon, caught off guard, hesitated for a moment, his face contracting into a poorly concealed expression of annoyance. "That's exactly what you said, isn't it?" continued the teacher, his piercing eyes fixed on Pardon. "That the professors, with their expertise and in-depth knowledge of the students, will play a decisive role in the selection process?" Pardon, not wanting to appear inflexible in front of the entire assembly, was forced to concede. "Indeed, Mr. Roux, the professors will have a say." A murmur of relief swept through the hall. Léon felt a wave of gratitude toward Stéphane Roux, whose intervention had restored a glimmer of hope. He knew that this battle would not only be sporting, but also political. The students exchanged perplexed but optimistic looks, the reassuring presence of their teachers giving them new motivation. After the speech, the students dispersed into small groups. Paul, who had observed Élodie throughout the address, approached her, his tall silhouette slightly shading the young girl. "Élodie," he murmured, his voice betraying unusual nervousness. "Do you think we have a fair chance now?" Élodie turned her clear eyes to him, a spark of defiance in her gaze. "We've always had a chance, Paul. Now it's up to us to prove that we deserve it." As they left the grand hall, Léon cast a last glance at Dubois, who gave them an encouraging smile.